All right, everybody, we're back. Another episode of the Unwired Appalachian podcast. A very special guest today, new Hazard coach Jordan Amos. Congrats on the coaching job, Jordan. Just kind of talk about when this Hazard job came open, how this kind of fell into your lap and why you jumped at it.
Well, 3 years ago, I was here as an assistant under Dan Howard, and I was the offensive coordinator that year as well. Uh, Really enjoyed that year here. I know I just stuck around for that 1 year and went back to Bell County, but I did really enjoy that year from an administration standpoint. They're all still the same. I really enjoyed working for those people, knew that they supported their athletics just as much as they do their academics. And um, this time around, when it came open, I bet I was one of the first people to throw my name in the hat, and it ended up working out for me, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, when you think of football in the state of Kentucky, wherever you're at, when they say Hazard, people know what kind of job it is, what kind of program that's been traditionally. Just talk about your vision for this program and getting started and building it your way, I guess.
Um, well, my vision for the program, right off the bat, I'll tell you at the beginning of every season, one concrete goal of mine is to coach in 15 games. And that's the most they'll let you coach in. So, I think that's very possible here at Hazard. Um, Aside from that, I'm all about the kids. This is their experience. We can't do anything without them. So, just being able to add value to their high school football experience and, helping them become better men, better husbands, better fathers down the road. That's truly what it's all about. And I know people will throw those sayings out there a lot, but I try to live that every single day. And, the last time I was here, we got beaten Raceland in the regional finals, real close game at 17-14 final. Max Johnson, I'm sure everybody remembers that name. But at the end of that game, he kind of walked up to me, and that's always a sad time for those seniors. And he told me, he said, Coach, I wish I had you all 4 years. So, you know, obviously I was able to create some value for him that he didn't necessarily see those first 3 years. And, that's just something that really stuck with me. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had a really good mentor, Dudley Hilton. You played for him at UPike. You've coached under him at Bell County. Everybody knows that name. Everybody knows the big personality Dudley. He's one of those lovable guys. You just have to love the guy if you know him. Just kind of talk about, coaching under him, I guess, first off, what you've learned on him coaching wise. And then we'll get into playing wise a little later. But just kind of talk about, what you've learned from him coaching with him, because I'm sure his knowledge is just endless.
Right. And I mean, truly it is. And he can, it's just, he's got a knack for certain things. I can't necessarily tell you how to do it, but just watching him do it, and man, he can get those kids to run through a wall for him. So, and they do that because they know that he cares about them. So that's the first thing. But just from a structural standpoint and organization, and I think that's all about. People say they're a player's first program, but that doesn't mean it's an easy program. It's quite the opposite. So, making sure that our coaching staff is on the same page. We are structurally sound every single day when we take the practice field. We only get a certain amount of time with these kids. It's not like college where we can, you know, meet with them 3 hours throughout the week and practice and stuff like that. So we've really got to do a good job of being organized and getting the most out of our kids. And that's, to me, Dudley Hilton is the world's best at coaching his coaches just as much as he coaches his kids. People think it's hard playing for him. They need to try to go coaching for him, and he's got very high standards and expectations and clear expectations and strong communication. That's kind of where I want to be at with it.
You got a great guy that you've learned from. He is wonderful. Like, I can't say enough good things about Coach Hilton. Going back to your play days, talking about Coach Hilton, just for people who don't know, just kind of give them a background. I know you played at Prairie Central. Just give them a background. Prairie Central, I remember covering you all 4 years at UPike. I remember those were some fun teams. under Coach Holland with the offense, and then Dudley running things, and you had John Dudley, a great group of guys. Really had a lot of excitement in that program. Just kind of talk about your playing career for those who don't know or who don't remember.
Right. So, I grew up here in Perry County and ended up going to Perry Central High School. I was a three-sport athlete all 4 of those years. Started quarterback for 3 years, started point guard for 2 or 3 years, and started second baseman for 3 years. So I'm all about kids doing as many things as they can. Uh, um, but I did, end up electing to go play college football at University of Pikeville, and that was a big transition for me because I went from quarterback to receiver. Joe Johnson was the head coach there my freshman year, and um, the program itself wasn't in a good place. I know James Lee Hurley, the vice president over there, was really pushing athletics and trying to get some guys in here that could get things built over there because you know University of Pikeville football hadn't had too many winning seasons leading up to that, but they did bring Dudley Hilton in my sophomore year. Um, and obviously Coach Holland, Al Holland Jr. was the offensive coordinator there for all 4 years. Uh, just really, he kind of took my knowledge of the game to another level because he started quarterback at Eastern for 2 or 3 years, and his offense coordinator there worked under Rich Rodriguez at West Virginia. And Rich Rodriguez is one of the founding fathers of modern day spread football and the whole RPO stuff. And just being able to start 4 years as a receiver in that system, I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. And even though I did play receiver, Coach Holland did let me sit in on a few quarterback meetings, so I kind of got the full scope of everything. And I think the world of Al Holland Jr. He's been great to me. And um, but yeah, so that's a big part of who I am and what I'm trying to bring here to Hazard football.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I think you held some records there at UPAC for receiving, and one of your coaches there, Justin Lamb, he was a big time receiver at UPAC as well. Just talk about some of the stuff you've learned from Coach Lamb as well, because he was as good as it came when it came to helping develop receivers.
Well, I'll be real honest with you. My freshman year, I had some really good guys in front of me. When you go to college, everybody can play. So the first 3 games of my freshman year, I probably saw 3 snaps out there, and I had Bobby Owens and Axel Rivas and some other guys that end up getting hurt during those first few weeks. And sure enough, I got through right in there, and um, I looked at it the other day, actually. When I left there, I was the career leader in receptions, career leader in receiving yards, and career leader in receiving touchdowns. Somebody got me on the receptions one, but I still got the other two. And Justin Lynn was a big part of that because he started 4 years there at receiver prior to being an assistant there. And he was nothing but supportive of me and taught me a lot. If I know one position, it's receiver, and I owe a lot of that to him.
Yeah, and go back to your coaching and stuff. Like we mentioned Al Holland, we mentioned Dudley. A couple of different philosophies. They kind of bring it together at the college level, made it work. But what do you take from like a guy like Al Holland? Because I remember when you were at Hazard, that offense, you all would spread it out and throw it everywhere. Dudley traditionally, a lot of people knows him for the run and playing that smash mouth football. Just kind of talk about some of the things that you took from each of these guys, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about complete opposite ends of the spectrum there.
Absolutely.
So, um, really, I just have an appreciation for football all the way around it. Every assistant coach likes to have input, right? And you talk about my ideas and you know, what I'd like to do if I had full control of it. That was never going to happen at Bell. So, but believe me, regardless of what system you use, running the football is going to be a big part of that. And there's a lot of pride to be taken in being able to run it right down people's throats. So, um, just for me, uh, working under Dudley wasn't as much about agreeing or disagreeing with his offense. It was just worth it to me to be a part of that program. And he's done things that way for 40 years. So believe me, he's has a lot of success doing that, and it's hard to to throw too many new ideas at a guy like that. So, uh, but I have nothing but respect and admiration for Coach Hilton, and he has certainly taught me a lot. You think about when you personally, when you feel like you're ready to become a head coach. I knew I was ready to be a head coach when I could coach every single position on the field with absolute confidence. And I owe a lot of that to Dudley Hilton because there you have to. Every assistant coach has a offense position, defense position that they're in charge of, and just learning all the different fundamentals and techniques that go into that is what I gained from him.
Yeah, going back to being familiar with Hazard, you coaching there for a year. I remember covering that team. Beat Pikeville that year in the playoffs. That was a huge game. Battle Racing was right there at it. Just talk about the comfort level that you have coming back now, because like you said, you know the administration, they're all there, but you also probably know some of the younger kids who were coming up in the program and all that. Just talk about that comfort level and having that, that little bit of familiarity there with Hazard, I guess.
Mhm. Well, you're right. When I got here, I knew that I was going to install a spread offense and kind of keep Hazard the same as what they've been used to. I had a dandy quarterback in Max Pelfrey, but having said that, there's certain phases to an offensive system. Like, um, I'm not going to do anything in a game if I don't have confidence in it from practice, right? So I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like we really got to where I wanted to be until that third round playoff game against Raceland. We threw a lot at them that night we had 2 turnovers in the first half inside the 10. So we moved the ball on them all night. I know the points didn't show that, but um, nobody was harder on Max Pelfrey than me, and believe me, I asked a lot of him, and he ended up rising to the occasion. But we really didn't get it to the offense I wanted to be at until that playoff game, and I was really excited about coming back, obviously, the next year, but that didn't end up working
Yeah, it is
out.
human. So, oh, sorry about that. You cut out. I thought you could talk
No,
about.
go ahead.
So, just kind of talk about that. You mentioned some stuff like that. Just talk about it's so early on for you, but how is it? Well, you got to learn the kids first before you put in a system. Got to bring in your coaches. Where you at right now with that process? Because people don't know it's step by step. It's not. You don't come in day one and run what you want. Just kind of talk about where you're at right now, because I'm sure you've got so many ideas that you want to do and so many things that you want to do. But where are you right now?
Well, that's changed obviously because of certain kids not being here now that we're here, and um, I look at us right now as probably more of a two back set, more so than a one back set with 4 receivers. But I'll tell you right now, uh, we got there was 54 touchdowns scored on this team last year, and 36 of those are back. So um, that's something to be really excited about. And just from a kid standpoint, you're right. I did know some of the kids that are seniors that won't be coming back next year. Those guys were freshmen when I was here the last time. So um, the seniors to be now were eighth graders, and I really did get close to a lot of those guys. And I tell you right now, with what's left on the team, we have more than enough talent to be competitive immediately and compete at a high level immediately. And as far as I'm concerned, and I ain't a knock on anybody else around here, but we still have the best football player in the mountains, and that's Connor Holbrook, who will be a vital part of our offense. Everybody um, wants to keep asking me who's going to be the quarterback, and that's just the one thing I can't answer right now. The easy thing would be to stick his tail back there in a wildcat situation, and if your best athlete on the field is touching the ball every play, that's never a bad thing. But there's other guys out there that I've got to find ways to get the ball to them because they deserve that. Uh, Cameron Miller being one of those guys. He didn't see the field the first 3 games of the season last year and end up having almost 900 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns. So we're really excited about him. Uh, our offensive line, Isaac Begley, Gannon Mullins, Cole Napier started every single game last year. A couple more guys, Blaze Shepard, Tyler Houston. I look for them to step into bigger roles this year there. Javion Fullwood, big tight end, uh, that's kind of a lost art in today's, but believe me, if you have one, that's a lethal weapon. And Preston Hall, even, he was a freshman that ran his tail off the first 3 games of the season, ended up getting hurt. Um, so believe me, I'm excited about what we have coming back. The quarterback thing, the only kid on the team right now that took a snap last year is Titus Holland, and he's still got some developing to do, and I'm certainly getting him involved in that. And I just basically I've been going around asking the people that's been here, who's still left in this school building that has taken a football snap within the past 3 or 4 years. One of those kids is Trace Kincaid. He's a dandy basketball player, dandy baseball player. I've had a conversation or two with him, and I think that's a real possibility. Now, again, if that's end up what's happening or not, I don't know, but I'd be a fool not to talk to him. So, um, again, that's just and Max Kilburn and David Napier's two more athletes that uh, they're very capable of catching the ball and doing some good things with it. Um, I, I think that for whatever reason, the first 2 or 3 days on this job, everybody thought hazard football was falling apart. And, I've just named, I don't know how many kids that has been here working their tail off for me. And believe me, people's going to find out that hazard football is not going anywhere.
Absolutely. I love that mentality. That's how you, I think, setting the tone, it trickles down. Just talk about how big that is. Finding leaders who believe in your vision like that, like you said, like you can find them in coaches, you can find them in kids. Just talk about, and getting everybody on the same page to believe, because I think that's a big part of that people don't ever talk about. Like if everybody has the same goal, the same mission, I think that's a step in the right direction for any program.
Well, the administration support has just been phenomenal. I kind of felt like that's what I would have, and that's why I was super excited about having an opportunity to be here. Um, but there's just certain people that told me, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that. And I'm always the guy that I'm going to give everybody a fair chance, equal opportunity to do something for me. I'm a big believer in myself and winning people over, and you know, I'm going to do things my way. So, and you said a big thing there, getting everybody on the same page. I look at that like, we've all got to align together, and I basically sat down and spoke with every single assistant coach from last year's staff. And uh, trust me, a lot of that conversation is not based on football knowledge. It's based on aligning with me. Are you bought into hazard or not? And I basically retained every single one of those besides one. So I still have one assistant coaching job I'm trying to get filled, but just a lot, and that's coaches, players, parents, community. Like we've all got to align together because um, it's not an easy thing. I think it's been 10 years since Hazard has played on Thanksgiving week, and that's just a special, special time. Like that's what everybody wants to get to. Um, I told these kids, when we get there and do that, believe me, you'll have more fans here that you ain't seen in I don't know how long, but it's all about buy-in. It's all about aligning together, and that's people was dying for that here. I know that, so I'm gonna do everything I can to get it for them.
Yeah, and you said that, and we'll jump into a little bit and talk district because to get there you got to go through your Paintsvilles, your Pikeville's. You're in the probably the maybe the only 3-team district, but it's probably the toughest district in the state in Class A. Just kind of talk about that challenge. I know that's probably something you're looking forward to.
Yeah, and even when I was here in 22, we had Sayre in there with us. That was kind of like a temporary thing, but it is, and uh, we do play a traditionally tough schedule here, and all that's because of the district, and um, that's just more fuel to the fire and more motivation for us. Because believe me, I knew all about Pikeville even before I took the assistant job here in 22, because the Belfry Pirates ended our season in Bell County 4 straight years, and guess who beat their tail all 4 of those years? Pikeville.
Mm.
So Coach McNamee does a a fantastic job over there. Those kids work extremely hard for him, and I use that to our advantage. When we watch film on 'em, those kids do exactly what their coaches ask them to do. And when you start looking at each position, I'm a big 90 by 90 guy. If we can get 90% of our guys executing 90% of the time, you can't expect you're never going to get 100. But if we get there, believe me, we're going to get a lot of wins go along with it. So, um, aside from Pikeville and Paintsville this year, you got Raceland, you've got Campbellsville, you've got Somerset.
You mentioned Say or Middlesboro.
Right. And so, uh, again, you use that to your advantage. We're not going to go into a game thinking it's won because we don't have a game on the schedule that's like that. So um, I- I'm excited about the opportunity our guys have and really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've been keeping you long enough. I'll give you a couple more questions, and we'll wrap it up. I'm sure I'll talk to you again before the season starts because there's so many things I can probably sit here 2 hours and talk football to you. But
I like it too, trust me.
but for Class A, you know that you're stepping into a smaller school, right? I always tell people with the smaller schools, usually the difference between a really good team and maybe an average team is depth. How do you develop that depth at Hazard?
Well, again, I do think the fact that I am such a multi-sport guy that, we've got to share our kids here. And believe me, when I started recruiting other kids, I went and talked to Coach Dean. I went and talked to Coach Huff and let them know, I have spoke with these kids. What I do with them is not going to interfere with what you're doing with them any whatsoever. And they've been great about that. But another thing I think you have to consider here at Hazard is incoming freshmen. Um, and that's just 1A football, right? Like we've got several kids coming in here this coming year. Ryder Miller, Coco Kincaid, uh, Suge Melton. You know, those guys, as from what I've seen so far, they're going to be very capable of contributing right away. And Randy, as much as I am an offensive guy, everybody's got their own philosophies, and believe me, our best 11 kids will be on the field on defense. And, I don't, that doesn't look like it's been the case here these last few years, but it's hard to hide guys on that side of the ball, especially in today's world. So I don't like to give those guys any excuses. Us coaches will figure out who that top 11 is, and they will be on that side of the ball. So, and again, like I said, Dudley was one of the world's best at coaching his coaches as much as he did his players. So these guys that have these positions, whatever position they're in charge of, they need to constantly be bringing 2 or 3 kids along that's ready to step in there. You can't you predict injuries and things like that. So that's just part of what my job is to make sure they're doing that.
Yeah, I guess I'll give you this final question, and I will wrap it up for the day. But uh, that Hazard, I see the H on your shirt there. I see that, and I think tradition. I think championship level football. I think one of the top programs in the mountains. How do you install that pride when those kids put that jersey on, have that Hazard across their chest? How do you convey the message to make that mean something special to those kids?
I think that part of that, I honestly, I feel like a lot of that comes from home. A lot of these homegrown kids know kind of what this is all about. And I'm big on alumni. I've tried to reach out to, I spoke with John Combs the other night, he was player of the year here in 2010. And I want those guys to come around. I want them to feel welcome to come around. That means a lot to these kids when they see that. And just them kind of reinforcing what you just said about, that H has got to mean a lot. I promise you, uh, things don't just happen. Bull County's won 5 out of the last 6 state championships. Believe me, that doesn't just happen. So, aside from whatever kind of talent they got, there's a lot of selfless people in that organization that really buy into stripping down every bit of the self gratification they can out of it and making it about their school, making it about the Bulldog pride. That's what it's all about. That's what's going to carry us when things get tough. It ain't going to be, personal goals and how many yards I've got and all that. So you just really have to be a selfless organization, and that's kind of my job to set those expectations and goals, and those guys will feed off me, if I can live it every day. So
I thought that was a perfect answer, man. And congrats again, Jordan. It was fun covering you, and when you were at UPike, I remember those days well, and it's going to be fun to finally get to talk to you in person here coming up. Hopefully, we can do that really soon. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
no, just I always appreciate the opportunity to sell my kids and sell my program, and I think you went about it about as perfect as you could, and I appreciate that. So I'll definitely look forward to talking to you again.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much. And next time you talk to Coach Hilton, tell him I said hi. He was one of my all-time favorite interviews. He's just a wonderful guy. I know you had a great mentor, so no worries for the people in Hazard who are wondering if he learned from Coach Hilton, he learned from the best. So that's I'll give you that right there. So, but thank
I'll tell you right now too. He loves to talk, so I'm sure you get him on.
Oh
Yeah, he'd stay on here as long as you need him.
Oh yeah, I know that he was great. But yeah, we'll wrap this up and I'll let you go. Thanks so much for Coach Jordan Amos at Hazard. I'm Randy White. This is Unwired Appalachian Podcast. We'll see you guys soon.